Previously in X-Men. After a 2-issue venture into Arcade's murder world, where the X-Men barely survived but for the skin of their teeth, they took another issue to reconsider some of their strategies, fasten up those training exercises, work real hard, see what else is going on inside their heads after the near defeat. And Professor X, meanwhile, is out in deep space in another galaxy, perhaps, with the Shi'ar Empire. He's far from everything. And Jean Grey and many others are on Moira McTaggart's island, Muir Isle, where her lab is, where she has been researching, and a mutant X escapes. And
sure does.
The X-Men receive a phone call from a distressed Lorna Dane, also known as Polaris, and they decide they need to quickly get all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. And that's where we're going to start this issue, which is super exciting. Oh my gosh, it is time for X-Men 126.
Exciting.
It's exciting. Time for Uncanny X-Men 126. I am Jason Lapidus.
Hey, I'm Chris Sanagan.
That way. And we are Group of 7 Comics. And today we're reading X-Men 126 in our episode 35 of our ongoing, never-ending series, Previously in X-Men, where we explore the classic run of X-Men comics, the essential run of X-Men comics, starting with Giant Size #1 and working our way through the Claremont and Byrne era to see how those two creators solidify the brand such that every other iteration of the X-Men owes its debt of gratitude to this very run of comics. Hello there, toying around. Hope you're well, and I hope you feel invigorated and rejuvenated and validated by the recent Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series, which we're not spoiling here because one of us hasn't seen it yet, so we don't want to say anything.
Well, I mean, I watched episode 1 today, so that's where I am.
How you doing, Trevor? Hope you're good. Well, we're glad you watched episode 1 of something off topic, but I guess when Kevin from Toying Around shows up, it becomes on topic, especially since his post is always from that Obi-Wan Kenobi character. So every iteration, we're talking about all the comics in the 80s, those great ones a lot of us grew up with. We're talking about the arcade game, the animated series in the 90s. We're talking about the Fox feature film franchise of the 2000s and the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have some fun connections to those things today in this episode. Chris, did you do any homework and watch the episodes of the animated series with Proteus?
No, but I wasn't here last week. But so then I read 125 as well. I did a back-to-back 125, 126. So I'm up to date, but nothing beyond 126.
That's probably wise. That's probably wise. So there is a TV show adaptation of this issue. What? True. And it has a different slant, and it's awkward and not nearly as graphically vicious as this one is. But it is a kid's representation of what we're about to read. So that's very exciting. Go ahead, Chris. What's up?
So for a show that many of us speak of as being foundational, just being at that right age and really enjoying and speaking to, it is real hit and miss. Like you're just like, it's not like we speak of, the Tim Batman Justice League universe or the Filoni Clone Wars as animated series. We go, wow, it's all really pretty much good. I mean, it sounds like, my memory is going to serve me well on this one, but I feel like the X-Men show, which again, I have fond memories of in the 90s, really just even like ups and downs, peaks and valleys.
I think their episodes come in 2 flavors. They come in bad and really bad.
Okay.
But
the 2 worst ice cream flavors at the shop.
But one is allowed to like something bad. There's something wrong with finding enjoyment in something made poorly. I think it's the concepts and the designs that make the show work, even though the show isn't well made. Like, there isn't great... I mean, the performances are good. Don't get me wrong. The voice acting is hilarious, and, those things stayed with us all the years since. But the animation the storyboarding, the pacing, the writing. It's not great animation by any stretch of the imagination, but we like it nonetheless. David Cutler, how you doing, man? The Batman show is more like that than people remember.
Like hit and
More
miss?
hit and miss.
Is that what?
I would agree that there are episodes that are phenomenal and there are episodes that are just fine. And there are a couple that are bad as well. Like I've got a Batman in my basement. But there are no amazingly made episodes of the X-Men animated series. Not one. They're all weird. And they're poorly drawn. And that's okay. You know, it's not like we're watching Looney Tunes and you just see the most amazing craft of storytelling and gags and all that kind of stuff. They're badly made, but it's endearing in a way. But I think it's because the concepts are so good that just like this idea of this super team, is just it's captivating, and the voice performances again are
well, and again, it is drawing on source material that we're going through, which is strong source material, right? I mean, for the most part, it's enjoyable storytelling from both Byrne and Claremont as we are unraveling has sustainability, and so you can be an animated show and draw from that, right?
So, David, you're saying more up and down, meaning that the animated series of Batman is more up and down, and the difference is the designs are always amazing by Bruce Timm and eventually Glenn Murakami as well, and the rest of the guys over there. I would agree with you. I mean, Tim fashioned those costumes to work in a movement-based animation style, whereas it seems that the X-Men animation style, none of the costumes were tailored for the show. They were all taken from the Jim Lee design, which are again mean something to people, but they're not made for animation. They're not streamlined enough. They get clunky on the details, and those big black spots of shadow don't work in this style. But yeah, I hear you. And I feel the same. I didn't watch X-Men, or I don't love X-Men because of the visuals. I love it because it's a chance to just watch a kid's cartoon and be with my daughter, and it's her way into X-Men. You know, it's like I like that part about it. Trevor says, yeah, I could never get into the X-Men cartoon. I expected the comics, and it wasn't. It was so not the comics, but it was a way that people who didn't read the comics were getting into it, right? It was like that gateway, like you, Chris.
Right here. Yeah.
And so I watched it just because it was the only thing like it on. It was like validating the comics I had read. And I always watched hoping there was going to be some greatness. And it always fell short. But again, I kind of still like watching it sometimes. And I just think about like the 5-year-olds who watched it, who had a couple of those Toy Biz action figures. It would have been amazing for them, not having seen slicker animation like Robotech or any of the stuff coming out of Japan at the end of the 70s or earlier. Wolverine and the X-Men was excellent. Yeah, I did enjoy the 2 other iterations of the X-Men cartoon afterwards. I enjoyed the style better, including X-Men Evolution or Evolution. I enjoyed that style better just because, again, the costumes were. I think they're done by Boyd Kirkland, one of the guys that was on the animated series of Batman, and he went over to Fox Kids and whatever. I don't actually know what I'm talking about there, but I liked anytime they tried to streamline the designs and have things work more smoothly. I was on board. And Wolverine and the X-Men is a good one, and I'm really looking forward to binging that one when it comes on Disney Plus eventually up here in Canada. I think it's on Disney Plus in the States, and Trevor can confirm or deny that is the case. Chris, have you ever watched Wolverine and the X-Men?
No, I know about it, and I know the designs you speak of. I've certainly seen those images and those designs, but I never did watch.
You've watched
X-Men Evolutions for that.
A cool Wolverine design, like his appearances. Maybe it's just one. He goes on Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes for an episode, a new Avengers episode.
Okay.
And he's like in New York fighting dinosaurs and stuff because it's his time displacement, and it's really cool. And he's done not Bruce Timm's style, but obviously the influence of Bruce Timm on and his designs on all of animation afterward. All of superhero animation is profound. So you can see that they've again done as close as Marvel ever gets to doing a Bruce Timm style.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
it's pretty neat. Pretty neat. So how are you reading the comic today, Chris?
I'm reading it as I always read it.
What?
In this box. It just pops out. Look, this is what happens. It comes out. Oh, there it is. There's a disc. I'm reading it as a PDF of the original scans of the comic, staples and all.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome, actually. So, there's no touch-ups. There's no color refinement. It is what it is. Scanning technology circa 2000 and 2000. So there you go on the back of the box.
I am reading via Essential X-Men, Volume 2, the beautiful black and white. And I've also got, of course, this classic X-Men, issue 32, with a cover by Steve Lytle, again, where I can't get the glare off unless I just have to move the light, but it always wants to come back to that spot. Neat design, the reality is drifting away. I think because of that, there's a color over top of everything that kind of bluish purple.
Okay.
Changes everyone's colors, even Wolverine's costume, Storm's skin, her boots, everything. It makes everything look they're kind of underwater.
Yeah, or there's been an eclipse or something.
It's a weird one, but let me see the back cover. Are you ready for this?
I hope so.
Whoa!
That is trippy.
Well, let's see what happens to the X-Men in this issue. These covers suggest definitely that something is happening to reality, which is a lot of fun. I'm into it. So we will see what happens. Whoa! That's also
trippy.
That was intense.
Whoa!
Let's get this thing in here. Here we go. We get another great cover by Dave Cockrum. And I know what I forgot to do. I wanted to show you something I downloaded. We're going to detour for a second, and I'm hoping that I have it nearby.
Okay.
And I might not. I might have found it on my phone. No, I thought I found it on the computer. I went looking to see if there was any original art available from this issue.
Okay.
I'm always curious about that kind of thing. And I wanted to see if there was any other, neat stuff, so to speak.
Okay.
So I'm going to open up a file and I'm going to share this with you.
Please.
That's the kind of guy I am. This is John Byrne in relatively recent years doing this cover.
Okay, so his take on the cover.
His take on the cover, because it is a Dave Cockrum cover.
Right.
And he's sort of showing what maybe how he would have handled it, maybe making it more dynamic, perhaps. But every character's mouth is open, which I think is great. I imagine them doing a 5-part harmony, like a barbershop quartet.
Pentatonics.
I don't think it's his best of any, it's not his best of any specific character. Especially Nightcrawler looks like he's kind of falling through by accident. But it's still always cool to see a riff on a pretty cool cover. Cockrum's design is great.
Yeah,
one of his better ones. He's missing Banshee. No room left for the logo. Yeah, Trevor says it's an awesome cover. I agree. Nightcrawler falling for sure. It looks like he's whoops almost. And there's no room left for the logo, but it's way better than the original. Otherwise, I hate to say. I don't like crapping on Dave Cockrum, but I favor John Byrne so much more. And there's a little bit more life and energy to Byrne's figures than there are to Cockrum's. I don't know. To each their own. I think it's cool.
But I do think though the cover art, Cockrum's cover art, it's to me it's a very clean team look when it comes to the idea of the team book. You've got all 5. They are demonstrating their powers almost all except for Nightcrawler, really. But they're all kind of doing their thing. We see Banshee's not there. He's depowered at the moment in the series.
That's right. He's hurt.
But I do like. I feel like if I was going to pick up this book on the spinner rack, I would be very tempted because there you have the characters. They're all doing a thing, pretty much connected to what they do. It's action heavy. It's clearly stakes are high. You probably want to pick this book up and take a look.
For sure, and it could be any issue. Like this could have been a cover that was, it could have been in the bag, except for Banshee not being included. That's specific, I think, to this moment. But it's a neat cover. And just to say, often there isn't a great correlation between the color of the logo and the dressing, the cover dressing,
sure,
and the characters. Like the corner box orange the corner box colors almost never work with the issue, but this one, that purpley blue or the dark blue and yellow logo looks great with this team because it's like the Cyclops and Wolverine colors.
Right.
And it makes the yellow on Colossus and Storm pop right out and the blue on Nightcrawler pop. Mm-hmm. He's the only character who doesn't have yellow in his costume, but it looks really good on the rest of them. So it's a nice choice for the title dressing. I like it. In Search of Mutant X.
Ooh.
I wonder, I know that this character of Mutant X is more significant in comics now than I suspected at the time of reading this. And even Jason Lowe, who was our guest last week, and David Cutler in the chat, he schooled me and reminded me that this character doesn't die, that he's going to be involved in the series in a major way in the most recent run,
like the current incarnation of X-Men comics, like Krakoa and all those things.
Exactly, which you and I have both not even gone anywhere near yet, which I think is should be in our job description that we get there eventually.
Well, we have time, like as you said in the intro, this is a never-ending series.
That's right.
So we'll be in our 60s. We'll get up there.
Before you know it. Speaking of which, just making a quick joke, last week we were lucky enough to have a couple people reach out and ask to get involved as guests in upcoming episodes. And one of them said to me, "Hey, is issue 211 available?"
Yeah.
Like
211.
80 weeks, yes.
Yep, in a year and a half.
Like, of course it is. No one's planning for
pencil you right in.
Good stuff, man. Like, for sure. You're most welcome. I just thought it was so cute and funny that our schedule is so packed with amazing guests that we can't fit in a Marvel writer.
Yeah.
So, if any other creators are out there and want to be guests, drop us a line. We're totally welcoming to everyone who wants to be involved. We love hearing different perspectives and someone else's recollections of these great comics and their love of the X-Men. So Mutant X is something from today. So I just throwing that out there.
Sure is.
All right, let's get into this.
Do it.
211.
211.
Oh, look at that Battlestar Galactica. That's awesome. And that toy, those arms are molded in that position, and so are the legs, but it turned, I think, at the waist.
Oh, okay.
So it felt super exciting, but it, just having any chrome painted or like metal vac sealed toys was just always really cool. I don't know why. And I love the capes on those guys. Just throwing it out there. So, how sharper than a serpent's tooth? I don't know if you know this quotation.
I don't.
It is, I believe, it's Shakespeare, firstly.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
But Claremont loves his Shakespeare. We've established that.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing with this quotation. It is only half the quote.
The
rest of it reveals a plot point. So Claremont does not use it because it would spoil.
Okay, and what is it?
You mean what's the rest of the quotation?
Yeah.
How sharper than a serpent's tooth? Stop asking me stupid questions. I don't want to spoil.
Okay. All right.
It's. I mean, do you know who Mutant X is?
Well, I read the issue.
Okay, but does it tell you who he is?
I mean, yeah, I have an idea who he is. Who he's connected to.
well, we'll see what happens. If you've seen the cartoon, it's also really ridiculous. But we'll get to it. We'll talk about it at the end, okay? We'll talk about it at the end. I love the splash. You know, these fishermen off the coast of Scotland, and you know, here comes the X-Men's jet, which is so cool, coming at them at an amazing speed, knocking them over. And again, Claremont loves to name everything, right? So he names this boat Audrey 2.
The Audrey 2.
And I didn't look up what Audrey 1 is, but is it a famous boat or is it a boat from X-Men? You're about to look now.
I don't know.
Prime to the first. It is quite the quote. I don't want to spoil it, but you can look it up. I believe it's from. Is it from Lear? Oh, I've already forgotten. But if you start typing it in, the rest will come up and it will tell you what Shakespeare it's from.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Oh, you looked it up? You had to spoil it?
It's also from Star Trek: The Animated Series, Season 2, Episode 5. In King Lear.
Oh, is it? Okay, it is Lear. Good.
Shakespeare said quote.
Are you going to read it?
No.
All right.
I read it at the end in my best Lear.
Okay, good. In some parts of the world, the dawn comes up like thunder. Those places don't usually include the North Atlantic Ocean just off the coast of Scotland. But as the crew of the trawler Audrey 2 are about to discover, this morning is different. And then we get again that really cool effect that probably Austin is throwing on there. Two things. One is like a grease pencil to create those clouds. They're not quite solid black. They look almost like he's dragging a crayon or something like that over, which is essentially what he's dealing with. A waxy, greasy substance that creates that smoky effect, and then scraping his razor blade over the inked areas of the jet to create those white spots in a streaky pattern.
It looks cool.
Yes, this is the quote you're referring to.
That's
sharper than a serpent's tooth. Stop asking me stupid questions. Yeah, it's a good one. That was pretty much, I think it was Shakespeare's first draft.
I googled that one. It's not Shakespeare, it's Marlowe.
It's Marlowe. And Shakespeare stole it?
We're just going to throw a Elizabethan playwright joke.
Nice.
Here we go.
Shakespeare and love conspiracy theory action going on there. How many times do you have to watch that one with Danielle? Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love? The one.
Just the one time?
Yeah.
Oh, you got off lucky there, buddy.
No,
is Audrey 2 a Little Shop of Horrors reference? I wonder. I actually
I desperately want it to be now you've mentioned it.
I've looked up some of the behind the scenes of this issue,
yes,
but I did not find anything but the boat name. So if we continue, I think it's a great drawing of the fishermen, by the way.
Yeah, they are spooked.
And even the colorist is doing a great job there.
Yeah, one of the fishermen's clearly Captain Highliner too. Do you see that?
Yes, of course. The plane is going so fast that by the time the fishermen react, it's almost over the horizon, leaving the Audrey 2 rolling in the wake of its multiple sonic booms. Do you want to try a Scottish fisherman accent?
I'll try. Here we go. You tin-plated twits! You almost capsized this. My imperial this.
That's pretty good, man. That's commendable.
I like how he mentions his member of parliament, by the way.
Yes.
That's next level Scots.
It agreed. And aboard the unmarked aircraft.
Oh, that is pretty near ting there, that fishing boat Cyclops. Well, she looks all right now.
Good. Action stations, X-Men. We've almost reached Muir Island. Shoot. We left New York barely an hour ago. Didn't even wait for the beast like he asked.
So that part, because I had to go back and read X-Men 125 for the issue from last week. And Beast is like, hey guys, I want to go too. Like, he was in the room.
Yep. We're not waiting.
They just were like, hey Beast, look over there. He's like, wait, what am I looking at?
No, take off.
No time.
There wasn't time, Wolverine. Now, do it by the numbers, people. Take a drink. Because he says people in a derogatory way.
Oh, God.
Just like we practiced. We don't know what we're up against, so come in hard and fast. I think you take a drink for that for other reasons. And they were training last issue, which is kind of cool. Like that ongoing, I guess it's a trope of the X-Men in the Danger Room. It lends itself to them leveling up every few issues and getting better at what they do.
Yeah, it's improving, right? Like
Colossus?
Yeah, I'm ready, Cyclops.
Then go! The young Russian drops through the plane's belly hatch, his body crackling with energy, changing from flesh to organic steel, as he falls like a missile towards a hopefully deserted section of Moira McTaggart's Mutant Research Center. Colossus hits hard. And there is a really fun comment here because the narrator says, but he's on his feet before the dust settles, and there's no dust in the art.
There's no dust.
There's no dust.
There's no dust. I also thought, if you were going to try to, I don't know, have the element of surprise or something, because there was something, happening in this space, something villainous, and have that element of surprise, you just threw it right out the window when you
totally
damn cannonball from the sky.
Yeah, this would make a huge boom. I love the idea that he's strong enough to land. And this is pre-superhero pose days. Mm-hmm. But maybe you put him on not on the inside of the building, but he just goes and superhero poses hard into the ground, but not a freaking crater. Like, how much damage did he just do to that building?
Right, like structurally, it's pretty weak now.
It's insane. This is an insane strategic choice.
There's no time, man.
But I love that he jumps out of the airplane. That part I'm all for.
Yeah, I actually want to see more of that.
Plowing through the building is insane.
I think they did that in an earlier issue. It might have been when they attacked the base, the NORAD base. Is that the one against the Anti-Men? Or somewhere along those lines?
I think even with Moses Magnum, right?
Maybe, but he basically.
Moses Magnum, he was punching under the ground,
right?
Wasn't he?
He was, but the idea that he's like, I don't need to land. I'll just transform to steel and make a crater.
Right. Very cool.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
You want me to do it? Okay.
Please.
Cyclops, can you hear me? I am down and all seems well. No sign of hostile activity.
Roger, Colossus. Keep me posted on your progress. And Peter, take care.
Da. Well, ad-lib.
Cyclops makes another low pass over the island. This time, it's Storm and Wolverine's turn to bail out. Take it easy, will you, Aurora? You left my stomach back on the flaming plane.
Surprised he didn't call her frail at that point.
Yeah. Do you want to read Storm or do you want me to do it?
Our friends are in danger, Wolverine. We cannot afford to waste even an instant.
I can hear her voice from the cartoon really clearly, like when she says, Wolverine!
Yeah.
That's a way of...
Mistress of the elements.
That particular word, I can hear that voice actor's performance.
Sure.
Storm drops Wolverine at the seaward entrance to the main complex before heading off to begin an airborne sweep of the island. Behind her, Cyclops drops the plane into a perfect vertical touchdown on the landing pad behind the lab. Get going, Nightcrawler. Teleport into the residence and search from attic to cellar.
Not to worry, Cyclops. I'm already there.
Now, I love this panel for a couple reasons. We haven't seen them do like split the panel in half into the thirds and having both of them at the same time being a place where Nightcrawler is. But if you just look at like the page breakdown, the line of where his Banff is the exact like 2/3 mark where the gutter would be if that was like divided up.
The delineation line, yeah.
A delineation line. And I love, again, colorist does the clever work of making one blue and one red so you cannot confuse them.
Yeah, that's a really cool,
very
cool way of demonstrating that too.
And I think Byrne hits the nail on the head with Banshee's face in this one. He seems to get like all the good parts of the Cockrum version, but also he doesn't look like in the old man. He's been getting frailer and frailer, it seems.
Right.
Leaner and leaner, but he's given him a really distinctive nose in this picture. And he looks like a specific person as opposed to face generica.
Right.
With a flash of brimstone, Nightcrawler disappears from the flight deck, instantly materializing in the living room of Moira's house.
You're pushing awful hard, Cyclops.
You didn't hear Lorna Dane scream over the phone, Sean. I'd never heard such raw terror. And then, a moment later, the line went dead. That was over an hour ago. A lot can happen in that much time. See the holster on Sean's hip?
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
Right? This is him making up for the fact that, how can he contribute? With Misty Knight's gun.
With Misty Knight's gun, he's
In
going to
that
shoot
holster.
everybody. It's kind of weird seeing an X-Men with, at this point in time, this is, pre-Pouches, pre-Liefeld and Lee. X-Men did not carry guns.
Sure.
So it's, but obviously by the 90s, Pouches and guns are dime a dozen in the X-Men.
Pouches.
Just before we were cut off, Lorna said the lab security alarms had sounded, that Jamie Madrox and my brother, Alex, had gone to check things out.
Cyclops, this is Nightcrawler. Come at once, hurry! And then we're going to flip the page and see what happens. When the record goes, bing, flip the page.
Yeah. What is it, Kurt?
See for yourself. Lorna's alive, I think. But his other one is beyond human help.
My God.
I found the man's wallet. It's Angus McWhirter.
McWhirter?
That's what I said,
He
McWhirter.
hated the X-Men's guts. What was he doing here? And his body, it looks mummified. But how? Who or what is responsible?
Lorna's a bit shocky, but she should be all right. This is what she saw when you two were on the phone, Cyclops. It's no wonder she screamed.
Nightcrawler, teleport over to the lab. There are still 4 people missing. Moira, Alex, Jamie, and Jean. Not to mention whoever's behind this.
On my way, Cyclops, and don't worry, we'll find them. Without me sounding scream, I'm not much use to you, Psych. I'll keep watch here over Lorna.
Fine, whatever, Banshee. You just pretend you're useful. If there's any change in her condition, or if you feel like telling me the baseball score or running into trouble, give me a holler on the radio. Otherwise, just stay out of my way. And then he thinks to himself, It's been months since Banshee's injuries, yet his powers show no signs of regenerating. What do we do if the damage never heals? You take him out of the book. Storm, pick me up. So it's been 7 issues since he suffered his injury.
Right.
And I like it as a character piece, like, an arc for the character to get injured and then have to actually go this long, like trying to heal and find his place. I almost wish like they don't ever give up on the character, like they keep him around and it's part of his journey. Obviously, we know he leaves the book, and he does make his way back and he does heal, but by the time he joins the X-Men again, it's Jim Lee time. Like it takes that long.
That's a long time.
It's around. I'm just going to throw a number out. Like it's around issue 270, perhaps. It's way
Who we
down.
have penciled in for issue 270.
Oh my goodness! Yes, who do we have penciled in for issue 270? I would say that we get Rob back. For the return of
that's
Banshee.
A good point. We should get Rob back.
Yeah, we should get him back anyway. But
yeah.
David says, it speaks well of the X-Men that they remember McWhirter's name and can recognize him from a husk after all they've been through since they stole that boat.
It's true.
It's like, I know that jacket. I mean, really, how can you... The drawing is beautiful. Okay, let's just give
like
give
the skull husk.
I wonder if Byrne expects Claremont to write this. Like, so we know the method of this is that the 2 guys hash out a plot, probably, on the telephone at this point in time, maybe in person. and then Byrne goes off and draws, and Claremont goes off and scripts, and they combine the two. Once Claremont gets hold of Byrne's pencils, he'll pace out the verbiage. I wonder if Byrne expected when he drew this that they would recognize Angus McWhirter by name based on his mummified face. But the wallet, pardon me, it was the wallet. And then, of course, Cyclops remembers him. But that is a beautifully drawn mummified face. Like, it's excellent. That's really good. And in the black and white version, it's perfect without all that gray on it. It's a perfect face. Fantastic work. So, pick me up, Storm. Or Storm, pick me up. And here she comes.
I've scouted the entire island from the air, Cyclops. There are no signs of any intruders or of our friends.
Your Storm is very serene. I like it. I want her to read me books at night before I go to sleep.
Because she's in control of her power, man.
She's in control of everything.
Right.
Head for the lab, Storm. That's where I'm betting we'll find them. In this drawing of Storm, too, with the way her cloak or cape is flowing. It's really cool.
It is very cool. Like,
this is not an easy cape to figure out how it's going to move. It gives the artist a lot of room to just play around, and
it's almost like an elliptical, and it's
it's unstable. So
right, I always forget it's unstable. That's my
you can do kind of whatever you want with it. But this particular drawing, it seems to actually make a lot of sense the way it's pinching behind her arms. It looks good. And deep inside that complex,
complete darkness, not even emergency lights. From the fuse boxes I've seen, every circuit in this place must have overloaded and blown at once. But who has the power to do that? Lorna? Or Magneto? Yikes!
Freeze!
Havoc! Don't shoot, it's me, Nightcrawler!
Sorry, Buster. Anytime a Summer speaks that way, you can...
There you go.
Summers, you can take a drink.
Sorry,
Buster. Nightcrawler's dead. And I stopped believing in ghosts long ago. Good thing my father's not a ghost, or a dead guy who I'm going to have to eventually face coming back from the dead. And everyone else I've ever loved, like my other brother, which we don't...
That other Summers brother we don't talk about yet.
Now step out where I can see you, or I'll burn you down. Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
He still thinks we're dead, and the corridor's too dark. I became near invisible in these deep shadows. I better port out of here and get Cyclops.
I wonder if he thinks in German, and if he, while thinking in German, shortens teleport to port. I wonder if he thinks that way. But before Nightcrawler can do anything, what the?
You may be strong, pal, but let's see the strength save you.
Oh, that's it.
Hold on.
Sorry. I was like, wait a minute.
Yep. It'd be really funny if they actually do split the dialogue. What the? You may be strong, pal, but let's see this. Let's see that strength save you from the cosmic power of Havoc.
I have faced your energy blast before, my American friend, and withstood them.
Huh? Colossus? You're alive?
I and all the X-Men Havoc. It's good to see you again.
Really cool, weird costume from Havoc.
Really super weird costume.
What's that?
Super weird costume. I always thought as a kid it was super cool. And now it's just like I'm not quite sure where the costume starts and like is his cosmic force begins, and is it contained in a costume or is it not? And then you got the headgear and you're like, what is going on there?
The headgear is definitely the weirdest part.
Right.
With that jewel in the middle.
Right. That's a jewel. Okay. That's what I'm thinking too.
Well,
like I thought it looked cool as a kid. I didn't. Now when I look back on it, yeah.
It looks like nobody else's costume. So he has
That's
that.
true.
But I can't imagine that this is a thing.
Right.
It almost doesn't make sense in 3D either. They finally have made a modern Marvel Legend of it.
You have it?
Well, I'm not allowed to reveal whether I have it or not because I might have just gotten it on the new episode of Hunting Around with Toying Around that will air, I think, tomorrow.
Tomorrow it airs.
And so I have not revealed the toys that I procured.
Understood.
On our trip to Toys R Us. It might be this Havoc.
Right.
It is this. One of them is this Havoc. I think in the episode, Kevin just takes them all, which is really how it is as well. He has this figure that I will be keeping. He's getting the bath part, and he's going to do an unboxing probably maybe Thursday or maybe a week following. He'll unbox that whole wave, and then I'll finally get my hands on it. But
Right.
yeah, there were 3 or 4 in that wave that are like more classic. So there's this one. There is a original style Sabretooth where he's a smaller buck, other than the massive buck that he is on now. In his original suit. And there's a modern Wolverine. Maybe a 4th. I don't remember anymore. But those are 3 that I wanted.
What's the wave called? Just more X-Men?
Bonebreaker is the BAF, which is the... Is it Bonebreaker? No, maybe I'm wrong. Jeez. I'm totally wrong, aren't I? No, it's Bonebreaker. He's a member of the Reavers that his lower half is like a mini tank.
Oh, yes. We've talked
He's on treads. And I have to admit, I really, really want that figure. But I knew that I wasn't going to get the whole wave. So when Kevin and I talked about splitting it, I'm just gonna start from scratch instead of him starting from scratch.
Okay.
Or both of us starting halfway. I'm like, no, let's let Kevin. Let's make sure Kevin gets it and he can review it and get some.
I'm just looking at the pics now. It does look pretty dope.
Yeah, I do want that one day, and so I will start collecting pieces. But when a friend like Kevin, who gives me the opportunities,
it's also got
for something. You just you concede.
And the wave doesn't have Banshee, but it has Siren. Right?
True.
Right? Yeah.
There is no modern Banshee figure.
No.
And Dwight from the Marvel Legends team has said repeatedly that if he ever makes a Banshee, that means it's the last figure he's ever making.
It might very well.
I don't know if that's true.
Who knows? But yeah, I can see now, just having Googled the image too, just the slimmed down Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Very much, which I like. I like that look.
Well, next time you come over, you're welcome to play with it.
Because okay, thank you. I will.
All right.
On to the next page.
Are there ads?
I'm sure there probably are. Yeah, they go. Comic convention in Philly, the Philly Sheraton.
Cool.
Mike, Mr. Universe Mentzer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neat. Elsewhere. What's up, Storm?
Footsteps. Someone close by coming this way and trying very hard not to be heard. I can't tell if it's a friend or foe, but it's best to take no chances. I'll use my elemental powers.
Keep going.
Oh, she keeps going. Sorry. To generate a wind that will stun whoever it is and blow him around to the corner and into our arms.
Got you, Moira McTaggart.
Oh, my.
Before we continue, a couple cool art things.
Okay.
We haven't talked about this yet, but when there are speech balloons or word bubbles that have the dashed outline, it's a whisper.
Ah.
Yeah. I don't know where one learns that, but it just is. That's a whisper.
And yet things
adorable.
are in bold, thinking.
Well, sometimes I can use my elemental powers.
Elemental powers.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was the shadow that's there.
Yes.
Of Moira, with her awesome hair showing the movement of her body. That's a zipatone. So that is like a screen tone that you would cut out of a sheet of sticky and use an X-Acto knife to cut out the shape just the way you want. And you place it on the original art, and it's stuck there, and it creates that grade dotted pattern, and it's beautiful, really, really cool. Something where if I was doing this now, I mean, in our comics, I use ink wash to do it, but this works better in print because it's like a consistent tone, brush strokes. But that's how I would do it if I was, recreating it now.
I like that third panel too, with the wind kicking up and
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It looks really good, and it hides who she is too with that third panel until the reveal in the middle of the page.
That's right.
I do find that one kind of a funny panel. Like, it's awkward. It's not a typical Byrne one either, but I like she's flying at him boob first.
That's I was gonna say it's like a chest bump.
It is, and she's really stunned by it. And she gets like this weird superhero costume. Like she wears this sort of functional jumpsuit as she's doing her lab work.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Oh, Cyclops Storm, you've no idea how glad I am to see you both alive. We had thought, is Sean Banshee?
Yes, he's taking care of Lorna. Moira, what's the trouble here? And where's Jean?
Mutant X has escaped. I was looking for Jean myself, but with the lights out, this place is worse than Hampton Court Maze.
Okay, what is Hampton Court Maze?
Well, Hampton Court. Are you aware of what Hampton Court is?
No.
Hampton Court was the palace of Henry VIII, which is you can currently visit on the edge of the fair city of London in England. It's one of those historic palaces, but it's mostly known as Henry VIII's palace. It has a maze like a hedge maze. That could be what she's referring to.
So that hedge maze is probably called Hampton Court Maze.
I would, let's hazard a guess.
Very cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll find her. Storm, gather everyone together at Moira's house. I'm breaking my own rules by taking off on my own into a potential danger area. But after all that's happened, I want to be alone when I see Jean. Because that's where the magic happens. I can start what I call the rubbins. It's interesting that they, Byrne and Austin create this graphic design behind Cyclops. So he's sort of inside of his own thoughts in his own head for a moment, and so these concentric circles kind of bring us really focused on his cranium. It's a good approach.
It's almost like a Daredevil.
It is, or Professor X, right?
Sonic, thing going on.
Yeah, it's an odd choice. But I'd rather have this than just needless background or no background or just black. It works. There's it just brings the eye focus towards, again, his cranium. With each step, the emotions he's dammed up for so long threaten to bust wide open. He knows he must lock them down or break. He thought she was the woman he loved, but now, before we read his amazing line there, we have commented over and over that he is not mourned properly. He has not had a strong reaction to Jean's death or the presumption of Jean's death. And this idea that he's just pushed the feelings down because he's a traumatized guy.
Yeah, sure.
And this is all about to overtake him. This actually is meaningful for me to read that he's not coping. It's about to overflow. I want to stay here for the rest of the issue. I want to see what happens to this guy. So I hope everything goes really smoothly as he reconnects with the woman that he thinks he might love.
I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it's going to go really well. But I do think it's like an important moment. Jean? She's alive, but in shock, just like Lorna. Neither of them are pushovers. Whatever hit them must have been pretty impressive. Hold it. She's coming around. I don't know how one reads that. A voice calls to her, gently pulling her out of the darkness. Uh-oh. Do you want to read that line?
Jason?
Okay, never again.
No, don't do that. I'm done now. Okay.
I knew it was you.
She smiles, safe, content. For the voice and the face are those of the man she loves. Jason. Then the darkness claims her once more, and she sleeps. Her dreams are troubled and gushy.
We're robbed of Cyclops losing his shit because she has said a different man's name.
Oh yeah.
Who the hell is this?
And I love in the next panel, she's just looking at him to try and get a read on him, and he's looking in the other direction
with his one giant eye.
Yeah, he doesn't have an arm on her. He's one around the edge of the couch,
and
one on his knee, and she's like, "Is he mad at me? Did I say the wrong man's name?
Did I say the wrong name again? Here we go."
Just to talk about, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 figures in this panel.
Sure. It's like a group of 7 comic.
It is okay. These little figures are so tightly drawn. That Wolverine is phenomenally drawn for a very small figure, crammed into like 1/3 of a page. Austin and Byrne, just the penmanship is so great, and they can't zoom in like these modern kids today with their photoshops and pro this and draw that.
Their PlayStations.
This is all just pure craft. It's just beautifully drawn. It's mid-afternoon when Cyclops gathers everyone to plan their next moves. After a day spent scouring the island in vain for even a trace of the escaped Mutant X. Of those who'd earlier faced him directly, Jamie Madrox had suffered the most. Called the Multiple Man because of his mutant power to create super-powered clones of himself, Jamie had once been offered a place in the X-Men by Professor X, but he preferred to help Moira run her research center instead. I feel like Jason Lowe should be here for this.
That's what I feel like too. I know.
Man, where is that guy?
What kind of voice did he give to Madrox?
His own, of course. When the alarm sounded, I created a squad of duplicates, so Havoc and I could search the lab more quickly. I left one of them guarding the house just in case. When he heard Lorna scream, he rushed in to help her. She'd fired a magnetic force bolt at Mutant X. That's what blew the lights, but it hadn't done any good. My duplicate tackled him, and suddenly I felt as if my soul was being torn out of me.
Whew. Yikes. Yikes.
I couldn't stop him, Moira.
Oh, I doubt anything human can, Jenny, love. You did your best, lad. Your duplicate sacrifice saved Lorna's life.
What is that on the... Oh, that's like a tea cozy.
That's tea cozy.
Yeah.
Keeps that kettle warm, man.
Yes. If people don't drink tea regularly or don't have furry tea covers, that's what that thing is. It's like
I'm looking at mine right now.
A knitted wool tube for a pot of tea.
Absolutely. Got to keep that tea warm somehow.
Well, sometimes, porcelain and boiling water will... You're right. Tea cozies, they seem to be like just dust gatherers to me.
Well, maybe you have the wrong ones. I don't know.
We don't have one, actually.
Oh, well, now I know to get you
for our tea time show, which we haven't done in a few weeks, and I'm sad.
Right.
We should have group of 7 tea time tea cozies.
You know what? I'm just gonna, next time we do it on, if we get to do it this Friday, I know it's a holiday. We get to do it this Friday. I'm gonna bring some tea cozies.
I think we should do a show and tell of tea cozies.
Just gonna put them on my head.
What are we waiting for, troops? The day ain't getting any younger.
Time to smoke.
Let's get after the sucker. As he punches his fist into his palm. Cool to see Havoc in the background there, unmasked.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and Lorna seems to be up and doing well. Byrne and Austin are so good with these sweater textures. Like these organic material textures, so like her heavy turtleneck and wool sweater, and Havoc with his cool all-black costume, fingers around her arm. It looks really great as a background. Yeah, it's good. Sit down, Wolverine. We're not going anywhere yet. What's the matter, bub? You scared?
Wolverine has asked Cyclops to be scared for the umpteenth time.
Yeah, man. Yes. You know what Jean and Lorna can do. And Jamie once held his own against the entire Fantastic Four. Yet Mutant X beat them all easily. And Cyclops is in Super Cyclops pose.
He is. Look at that.
I love
hands on his hips.
Yeah.
Hips.
He's great. We have to know who Mutant X is, what his powers are, his strengths, weaknesses, needs, how he thinks and feels, his favorite vegetable. It could be the difference between victory or defeat, life or death. You know I'm right, Wolverine. I know, but I don't have to like it. I've checked the files, Moira.
That's a nice, by the way.
You're right.
Mean, often, so at least every issue, Wolverine confronts Cyclops and calls him a coward. At least every issue. And Cyclops has a rebuttal. This time he's like, I'm right. And he's like, yeah, I don't like it. I'm like, okay, so at least we're seeing some growth here.
Totally.
You
And
know,
they're gelling, right? Bit by
Mhm.
bit. I've checked the files, Moira. There's nothing on Mutant X.
It's a private matter, Scott.
Was a private matter. He's killed, Moira. He'll kill again. You've got to help us before it's too late.
It was too late the day he was born.
Who is Mutant X, Moira?
He's my son.
That's a good drop and an excellent drawing again. Man, Byrne he's leveling up. Like, it seems every issue is kind of getting better and better. I had this thought last week, and I don't know if there's any merit to it, but I'll share it with you. And it is in defense of two things. The impact that John Byrne makes on an entire generation is massive. And I wonder, and I don't believe this to be the case, but I wonder if the amount of words in these Chris Claremont scripts slow the reader down to read them so much so that we spend more time noticing how great Byrne and Austin are, as opposed to us rushing through.
Sure.
I wonder.
Well, I mean, certainly Byrne, I'm going to say that, and I mean, again, I'm just making an assumption here, but having read some later Byrne Alpha Flight issues more recently, which of course were some that you gifted to me, but also previously as well. Byrne, like there's tons of scripting in those stories. So, and tons of dialogue and tons of exposition and tons of, scene setting and explanation and things. So, does Byrne, is there a, not necessarily learning from Claremont, but I guess he would as a storyteller, but also just in terms of like leveraging that approach, and maybe it is working. Maybe it lends more kind of weight to what you're suggesting, and then he kind of carries that on.
Maybe. Neat looking, great face on her. Really, really good.
Yeah,
I always feel like I wish you could see these black and white ones, because it just, the clarity of each of these. I think they're taken from like the negatives are taken from a better source than the comics are made from.
Mm-hmm.
They're not reprints of the comics or photos of the comics. I think they're taken from the same source that the comics are taken from, as opposed to taken from the comics. Anyway, I don't really understand the process, truthfully, and that's part of my problem, but these are just super clear.
Okay.
Here we go. He slipped off Muir Island at the helm of Angus McWhirter's.
Poor Angus McWhirter.
And after a few hours' journey, he came at last to Stornoway.
Great band, by the way.
To the Red Lion Inn. Once more, I hunger. I am consuming this shell too quickly. Must find replacement. Suddenly the door of the Red Lion Inn is flung wide, and Jason Wingard steps out into the cool night air. Like Mutant X, he's a man of many shapes and faces, a man whose soul is as black as the devil's own. He has made himself the man of Jean Grey's dreams. Soon now, he plans to win her love, and through that love, bind her to him. That is, assuming he lives. I love all these smoking characters. And just all the little details, the cobblestone, and
I also love how Jason Wingard dresses like 200 years previously. And
oh yeah, it's romantic.
Sure, it's something.
Finally, he can't see us, but I'm doing the X gesture. Whoosh.
Oh,
hey Jason, how are you? I just had to read a dark Madrox, like a shell of a man. A man. Very sad. What? It cannot be. He has some kind of psychic shield blunting my attack. I am too weak to smash through. Must let this prey escape.
So
Little-
cool to have a villain kind of, or a threat try to take on another villain as the host body. No real explanation. Like, he doesn't ever turn around and go, "Ha, I'm far too strong for you. You can't get inside my head." He just walks. You think if Mutant X is performing some kind of mental attack and a rebuff, you think there'd be some kind of reaction from Jason Wingard. Even maybe just an acknowledgement that someone else is there,
For sure.
But no.
A little later, down by the docks, some friends bid each other fond farewell and head for home. It's been quite a while since Ferdy Duncan was this drunk.
Ferdy Duncan.
I love Claremont. All these side characters. Ferdy Duncan. Good old Ferdy Duncan. He knows his wife will read him the riot act the moment he walks in the door. He's wrong. He'll never see his wife. Sorry, he'll never see his home or wife again.
Pour one out for Ferdy.
Excellent. This shell is young, strong. It will serve me well. And this is one of the nice times where we can see so much Kirby in a face from Burr.
Sure.
Just like, it's oozing Kirby face. Those eyes and that brow. Everything ugly about that face is just coming right from Kirby. This is getting weird. Are you ready?
Yeah, it's getting weird.
There's a lot of reading on this page. Holy Gamberly.
We have been reading the whole thing, but we can probably skip over some pieces if we want.
You sure? All right. Okay.
Well,
so anyway, it's the next morning. Stuff happened.
Banshee is still trying to figure out, last night's baseball scores. And Cyclops is like, yeah, get them to me when you can.
Okay. You don't think I should read Cyclops' part here?
No, you can.
Okay. I think it's safe to assume that Mutant X crossed over here. He's on the run. The best place for him to hide, where he can still find a continuous supply of host bodies, is a big city. In Scotland, that means Inverness, Aberdeen, Glasgow, and Edinburgh.
4 cities that are quite close to each other.
Yes. Finding him won't be easy. We don't know what he looks like now, how he's traveling, or which way, or how much of a head start he's got. Worse, he doesn't seem to register on Cerebro or any other mechanical sensor. This sounds impossible, by the way.
It really does. So we're just going to shake down every person we see.
Yes. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm splitting us into 4 search teams. Too bad they didn't wait for Beast.
Well, yeah, right? You think he would have been helpful now.
With Storm and Phoenix acting as airborne scouts, if anyone spots anything, no matter how trivial, let me know. Let's roll, X-Men. Like Storm radios in. I found a herd of sheep. I said, no matter. Oh, you're right. No matter how trivial. Yes, okay. Sheep. Good point. You want to read Moira?
Sure. Okay, here we go.
Suppose he's out foxed us, Scott. Suppose he never left Stornoway.
That's partly why I left Jamie behind, to monitor the police radio frequencies. If any more mummies pop up, he'll call me. This must be pretty rough on you, Moira.
Aye, he was a beautiful baby, I hated his father, but I loved him. I still do. When his mutant power emerged, changing him, I tried to find a cure. I failed. He has 2 fundamental weaknesses. His constant need for new host bodies and metal. He can't abide non-organic materials. Metal can imprison Mutant X or destroy him.
The part you read about I was a beautiful I hated his father. Oh my god. Yeah. So in the animated series, his relationship with his father is the crux of the episode.
Okay.
He escapes because he wants to find and get approval from his father, who's running for government, a role in government.
Oh, okay. The Scottish government?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so the character of Mutant X, who they just keep calling Kevin the entire time because that's his human name in the show. Kevin! Oh, Kevin!
Kevin!
They're constantly telling Kevin to stop, and he's drawn just like an energy blob monster guy, like a stocky...
like a Clayface?
He's drawn like an energy Clayface, exactly.
Okay. All right.
And it's really not nearly as cool as like a person that consumes these bodies and they mummify. Like he eats them up.
Mm-hmm.
And on the show, he just possesses, but he doesn't actually eat the people up.
Too
bad.
Yeah.
And then I think we can skip over Gene's part. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a lot. It's more of the.
Should we? Okay, we can read it.
The Wingard stuff, right? I mean, it's
let's first hear David's
what does he say?
I actually quite like the animated version. It's one of those adaptations that I end up mixing up with the original. To each their own.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. Again, we all like what we like, and that's part of the fun of it. Is I'm glad people are liking the show. And the light up eyes in the cartoon. Yeah, that's like a classic way of showing that someone's being possessed, right? I don't know what to tell you, David. I'm glad you like it. That's the true. that's my true position. Is I'm happy people like things. I'd rather we don't spend the whole time trashing the animated series. I just won't ever say that it's good, but I'm glad people like it for sure. Cool.
Cool. I do like too, though, just before we get to that Gene page there, about she's like, there's only two things that could stop him: his need for constant bodies and metal. Did you know 40% of your team have metal-based powers?
Well, this is an important thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Also metal.
And the metal. Here we go. I should have mentioned to Scott that Mutant X seems invisible to my telepathic powers as well. I should have told him a lot of things, but I couldn't. The vibes I picked off him were so confused. He's changed, grown, too. I'm glad of that, I think. But how will it affect us? At that moment, on a nearby hillock. What's a hillock? A hill?
It's a Scottish hill.
A hill is called a hillock? Hillock.
Hillock. Over a hillock over there.
The X-Men are out in force. Heaven help whoever they're after. In so many ways, Phoenix is the most powerful X-Man or X-Woman, yet also the most deliciously vulnerable. Jason Wingard smiles like a true creepy predator who should get Me Too'd. And for the second time in as many days, Phoenix's world goes suddenly and decidedly mad. Oh no, it's happening again. And she's in a completely different garb, wearing a top hat that is basically duct taped. I'm assuming that's duct tape. It's totally duct tape, right?
It's a scarf.
Oh, it's a scarf.
Underneath
the black and white version looks like it's only going to be duct tape for sure.
Gotcha.
Yes, it's keeping her hat in place. And she's transported back to 18th century. I guess, in Scotland or in Britain larger. She's riding horses with the hounds. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
They're on a fox hunt.
They are on a fox hunt.
And she's transported back to that moment, which is creepy. Jason Lowe says, when will we see a Marvel Legends Proteus cartoon figure, though? I'm going to say never. Unless you customize one, my friend. Unless you customize it.
Okay, here's a question for you. How often do waves released annually? Like 3 a year, maybe?
It seems like that. They've increased the number.
Right.
And they've increased the price. So the frequency and the prices all increase. And it's causing actually a lot of fans like myself to cut way, way, way back.
Right.
They do not give us enough ex-villains. I agree with you, David.
But they can give you a Wolverine in every wave.
They give us a Wolverine, obviously like all the time. And I have so many of them, and often I really love them. I just passed on a Nimrod. I could have gotten a Nimrod for like $35 or $40.
Okay.
And I passed. It was in a 3-pack, and the guy just wanted one figure, and he wanted, But I'm finding that my shelf is full, so I'm just boiling my X-Men collection down to kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's purist, but like only holding to like the villains I can't live without, like Juggernaut, Magneto, Dark Phoenix, Lady Deathstrike, the Reavers, Yeah. There are a lot that I've passed on because I just don't have room for them. And then, of course, all the 90s iterations I'm kind of avoiding, especially the mid to late 90s. I avoid all that stuff too. All the X-Force.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. You want the Wolverine from the Hostess Pie ad as a figure. I actually don't remember what costume he's in. Is he in the brown and
pass
tan?
it?
Oh, I go back.
Did I miss it? It's Hubba Bubba.
Was there an ad with him?
I don't see Hostess Pie. Maybe we passed it earlier.
Maybe he just means in general.
Maybe just means,
I can picture like an ad with, I don't know, who was it? Spider-Man maybe, or I can't remember. But
Hulk. There's a Hostess Pie ad, I believe, in this book.
I don't think Wolverine was in it, was he?
I don't think so.
Jason, we need more information on this anecdote.
More pie info, Jason.
We know you're joking, but which just the figure with the Hostess Pie accessory. Ah. Fair enough. David Cutler says, this is the focus of my collection you're describing. 90 X-Force, X-Factor, Nimrod. Every day I say a little prayer for a Generation Xbox. Yeah, I think that's just the difference in our age, right? I'm probably I imagine, going to start selling off any of the 90s ones I do have in place of just trying to keep it to the classic versions of the characters. The X-Factor one I kind of missed. I missed on the Madrox when it came out. And I have the Havoc and Polaris 2-pack. And I haven't, like, I opened it, but it's not going to find a place on my shelf. So if either of you guys, well, David, you get first dibs because you brought it up. But if you want those ones, I'm happy to sell them. They're in good condition. All the accessories are around. And maybe I can still find that Nimrod if you don't have it. I can ask my friend Rich, who offered it to me. And in terms of X-Force, we'll have to, I don't know which ones I have still. I got to think about it. See, like Sink and Monet, like these are characters I just... If it wasn't Kirby or Byrne, I'm like, meh. I guess it were Neil Adams in that case. I like those costumes too. But
your 90s X-Men, I'm slowly but haphazardly and serendipitously building my 90s Avengers set.
Yeah, your Avengers are crazy.
They are. All from cheap fig deals.
That's the way you do it, man. Don't spend big money. These things are getting more expensive. Keep getting them for $5. All that garage sale money you're going to get this weekend, you should devote to.
Yeah, just go straight to the store and buy it.
Hold on. She's on a horse named Satan.
Yeah, and
okay, no, that's all good. So, there's an incident in in her memory here, or in her mind. She sees the dogs are ripping apart a stag. I think it's a stag, is it not?
It's supposed to be.
Okay. And Wingard gets off his horse.
You know he's a bad guy. He hits a dog.
That's for sure.
Right? Come on.
We're fortunate indeed, milady. The beast still lives. Oh, dude, it's a dude.
It's a dude.
It's a man dude.
It's a man stag.
It is a weird naked man stag dude.
Mm-hmm.
That is trippy. Her head is totally getting messed with, and she comes across, she realizes it's another body, and it's real, but her imagination has been like just working crazy as Wingard is playing with her like he would a Marvel Legends action figure, controlling all of her thoughts and her body and her feelings. He is a dark dude. Mastermind is slipping in little things to corrupt her, get her comfortable with evil and doing evil. It's pretty effed up. It is, and it's awesome from a safe distance, but he is completely he's gaslighting her, right? I mean, he's manipulating her very thoughts. It's very powerful stuff, especially when you know where it's going, because it's been building for a long time, and there's payoff in a big way coming up. Nice effect on these lights
on the car
from the truck there, or the Jeep, I should say. And there are a lot of them are actually, they're drawn in really fine lined black lines that are creating that effect. Not just the yellow color, but there's a lot that's actually drawn on there, which is cool. So Nightcrawler says,
Wolverine, Cyclops is on the video. Phoenix has found a body, mummified like McVirtus.
Goody for them. Keep the noise down, huh? I've got enough hassles following this trail as it is, without you distracting me.
Trail? Cyclops says the body is fresh. Mutant X must have only recently abandoned it, and it's over 10 miles away. How could he have gotten from there to here so quickly?
My nose don't lie, pal. Those bodies X possessed give off a distinctive scent. Picking it up just before we hit the flaming fog. Been following it ever since. And to answer your question, he's getting around the same way we are. In a car? What the?
Hold it, laddie.
A cop. Where'd he come from? I should have spotted his scent. You spot a scent? Is that what you do? Just,
Well, you
hey,
do.
we've been tracking a lone man in a car. Whoever said Mutant X couldn't zap a cop. Crawler, trouble!
I like that. I mean, it's a it's a lot of lead-in thinking of like, this can't be. It's a bad scene. I'm gonna go closer until he says crawler trouble. But
Yeah.
you know, that's maybe. I mean, he doesn't call Kurt that often. He says elf a lot, but
Yeah.
crawler.
Do you want to read the weird cop dude?
Oh, you're mutant.
Yeah, but you go ahead. I don't know. I read a lot there. You can read.
Okay.
Incredible. You've seen through my deception, but that will do you no good. Spare yourself needless pain, little man. This will be over before you know it.
Energy flares between the two men, and Wolverine finds himself drowning in Mutant X's psyche. That's dark. Drowning. He fights desperately, but it's no use. He has barely seconds of life left, and then... Whoa. This is nuts. Dimly, Wolverine registers that it wasn't really he who screamed, but Mutant X. That the rogue mutant is fleeing his body in a near panic.
Metal? This X-Man's full of metal, alien, deadly to me.
It ain't just metal, sweetheart.
There you go.
I got a skeleton made of about $3 million worth of adamantium,
Which is a lot of money in 1979.
especially when it's Canadian Tire money.
That's right.
But if you think my bones are deadly, get a load of my claws.
Snicked.
Wolverine, heard your cry. What? Mein Gott, are you insane? You're attacking a police officer?
Stay out of this, elf. You just get in my way. Tell Psyche we cornered Mutant X, and I'm about to put Moira's darling boy out of action. Permanently.
Are you Wolverine? I think not. You call me Mutant X, but I have a better name. I am Proteus, the mutant who masters reality.
Imagine a world where no rules exist, where there is no natural order, where nothing is the same from one moment to the next.
My body, it's breaking up and drifting apart. Is this really happening? Or is it all in my mind?
Bad as things are for Nightcrawler, they're infinitely worse for Wolverine, whose being is grounded in a physical structure that no longer exists, is now defined by senses that are all now lying to him. He tries to hold on, only to find nothing within or without him to hold on to. Nightcrawler does his best to reassure his friend, unaware that, thanks to Proteus, Wolverine perceives his world, his words, as drops of orange rain.
I need practice in the use of my ability to warp the very fabric of reality. You two X-Men make fitting guinea pigs.
This is insane.
It is actually.
Like, what a fun thing for an artist to get to render, too. Like, to figure out how to draw these characters and make it as like that trippy. Even in this drawing with of Proteus in the 5th panel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, just even before that, the panels are effed up.
The panels are effed up. Yeah.
You know, you can get rid of those borders altogether if you want to, but this works fine. This is still playful and interesting. But that 5th panel, we don't usually see that degree of foreshortening from Byrne, where he makes the hand that's coming at the camera so much larger than what's happening in the background. It looks great. I love that. Like, that hand is not. If you had told me who drew that, I would never guess John Byrne.
Okay. And
it's really beautiful.
It's a creepy look.
It
the
is
whole thing, really threatening, really menacing.
It's a great cartoon hand. By the way, this is the very first time ever that it's referenced that Wolverine has an adamantium skeleton.
Is this the one?
This is the moment. So we've known he's a fast healer. We've known about the claws. We've known about the senses.
And we've heard adamantium spoken of before.
Yes. But never that his skeleton is metal, or it says it's made of the metal. It doesn't say laced with or coated with or whatever. But this is the first reference to him having that almost unbreakable skeleton. There you go. Very notable.
Very cool. Away from them, monster. While Storm lives, you'll harm no one.
Her attack is savage, catching Proteus completely by surprise. Her massive lightning strike chewing up the landscape around him. Shock and fear prompt him to snap reality back to normal.
That policeman must be Mutant X. I can't attack him directly. Evil though he is also a living being. I will not take his life. But I can prevent his escape.
My car!
Great explosion, by the way.
Yeah.
Explosion caused me pain. You'll pay for that, witch.
So he's used his power so much, like the body is starting to really decay.
Right.
He's totally McWordering that body.
McWordering, yeah.
Storm never has a chance as Proteus's power lashes out at her. One instant, everything is fine. The next, she's upside down, and the ground has jumped up to slap her in the face.
Oof. I cannot possess Wolverine's shell, and Nightcrawler's appearance makes him useless to me. But you, woman, are perfect. Shoulder, I think it's sprained. Can't risk flying.
I imagine as his body's decaying, so is his mouth. So for the next parts, he doesn't speak again. No. I was going to say, try and read him as if his tongue and teeth are falling out.
Like it's coming off?
You have to read it like
it's a
Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black.
Oh, in Men in Black. Whoa. That's a great performance, by the way.
It is very memorable.
Yeah.
Mutant X could easily make me smash to the ground again, or worse. Also, I can't leave Wolverine and Nightcrawler at his mercy. No choice. I have to make a stand. I'm too groggy to generate lightning. I'll try wind instead.
Woo!
The tempest seems to spring up out of nowhere. At Storm's direction, 100-mile-per-hour winds hurl themselves toward themselves down the tiny valley towards Proteus. But although Storm focuses her gale as tightly as she can, Proteus isn't the only one caught in its path.
Wolverine, Storm's hurt. We've got to help her.
We can't, pal.
Stay where you are, both of you, and anchor yourselves. This wind would blow you away before you took 2 steps.
Hate to admit it, but Aurora's right. She's on her own. All we can do now is dig in and pray to a god I don't believe in.
Anymore. Not since that incident.
Yeah. And Storm being off in the distance there. This is a really neat thing where I actually don't know how they made that one. I don't know what to say. I've got to think about this, how they made that effect. It's looks like it's dots, but it maybe was hand drawn.
Maybe.
I can't tell.
I've always liked the idea too. They do a couple of times. It looks like Nightcrawler is getting under Wolverine to be anchored, but he's got the claws on the ground.
Yeah.
Right? That idea. Yeah.
And then we get this really cool thing here. So around them, the surface of the glen is stripped clean, down to the bare rock by Storm's terrible elemental holocaust. She strikes out with everything she has, her face grim as she realizes that this time her best won't be good enough. For step by inexorable step, Proteus is closing in on her, closing in for the kill. Next issue, the quality of hatred.
Wow. And that's, she's got a full gale. Localized on one person.
And his body is like disappearing.
Yeah, but he's still walking, he's still taking it.
He's like, is he pure energy at this point?
Right.
I'm not sure. So one of the cool things here, so they Austin has laid down the Zipatone, and he has either added white media to it to make those gaps in the effect, or he scratched it away, or both. I see scratches, but I don't know if you can take an eraser to it and peel some off to make that swirling effect. Like that is handmade. So laying down a sheet of basically gray dots and then adding a little bit of line to it and adding this gray stuff. I'm stripping parts away and adding maybe white medium to it too. It's incredibly effective and it looks mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really great.
It does look really great.
Super cool. I have to say, like, this is one of the best drawn issues I've read from Byrne and Austin. Like every page has some craft in it that is phenomenally tight, like really well drawn stuff. If they ever cheap out on another issue, it is definitely worth it for this one. This is an intense, like fighting this serial killer.
I agree. I feel like this is, we talked a little bit about in previous issues, especially I think maybe with the Murder World stuff, about it being very, kiddie in the sense where it's like a nod to like the amusement park stuff, the fun and game stuff, playful Joker, that kind of stuff. This is like another level intensity. This is like, that's now behind. Now we're at a different place now.
This is a horror book, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
like a serial killer, and the idea of the haunted lab, and finding this guy who's killed a cop. He's
he killed Angus McWhirter.
He did, and what was the other guy's name? The one on the docks who never gets to go home again.
Not Freddy.
Ferdy. He killed Ferdy, and with the decaying bodies, it's super cool. And sending Wolverine Nightcrawler on these
even one of Magic's multiples, like
that's right.
I don't
super cool. And I think that's one of the reasons, and not to start in against David Cutler on this one. That's one of the things for me that is like that separates this from the cartoon. Is the cartoon one was really about this kid who can possess people and wants to find his dad. And I'm coming from a place as a young guy where I've seen that Proteus is a serial killer, and it's a horror issue, and to go down to a kid's thing was like a step.
Is he played as a kid in the animated?
Yes, he's played as a child who has escaped and wants to meet his dad, like a teenager, named Kevin. Yeah, it's just different, and everyone comes from those different places. So the backup issue in this is drawn by John Bolton, as always.
Okay.
And it is written by Ann Nesenti.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, she's been writing the last stretch of them. I got to show you this cool. This is as they call it, the frontispiece. You get the glare off of it. Hold on. It feels like it's a movie poster that he's reworked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Moira being hunted by the alien or the predator.
I was going to say very Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, it feels like it is from like a James
Alien is 79, right? I think Alien is 79, so.
A cartoon of apples. Yeah. And then that's a cool piece. And the whole thing is just like the pain of Wolverine's trip against the cop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to just put this in large. Hold on. So, the shreds of humanity. And John Bolton gets to just play with, these things. Like they're fighting this serial killer cop, and it spends all the time that was here on this scene. Wolverine wanted to kill the guy. Nightcrawler's saying, no, it's a cop. He's like, but it's not. But it is. But it's not. But it is. And then even talk about not killing Proteus.
Look at the smile on his face. Too.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
It is. And then just crazy, surreal stuff. Really interesting. I wonder if they ever, I think I've asked this before, they ever made a collection of these backups.
These backup.
Look at that.
Wow.
And the whole idea that, like, Claremont says in one line that, like, Wolverine is hurt infinitely more than Kurt in that moment.
Right.
And I think this is, like, the support of what he did to Wolverine to shatter him mentally.
Right. Oh.
This one.
Oh, my goodness.
Suck the marrow out of your old man's bones, chump. Wow. You get
Lego Wolverine.
yeah. And then eventually he's clawing out his own guts.
Oh.
And that's where it ends. Wolverine lands one.
Wolverine takes
shots.
Yeah, he gets a couple shots in there.
And he basically is coming out the other end. And he's ready to fight again. Like is
he imagining he's clawing out his guts, or is he doing it?
It is like the full reality he's experiencing.
Okay.
It's just the reality that doesn't hold. That's all.
Yeah. Wow.
David says you can get the classic X-Men editions and backups in the X-Men Classic Omnibus, which I didn't get when it was out because I didn't realize how good some of the backups were at the time. Yeah. They get more and more interesting. The more that I think the team figures out what you can really do with it. But it depends what they choose to do. Like the lighthearted ones are fun, but like to understand, to flesh out like what Wolverine went through is, I think, super cool. And that is a comic unlike any other, where you get to see he cutting his own torso open is awesome and horrific. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Excellent.
Intensity level jacked up.
I have some X-Men figures hopefully coming maybe this week.
Okay.
The 3 3/4 Wave 5 is supposed to show up at one of my locals, and in it will have finally a Wolverine for scale.
Okay.
And a Phoenix. So
Very
I am
nice.
like, can't wait for those.
I'm just gonna have Gene and Logan hanging out together, and then just have Scott on the other shelf, just looking at them.
It's a great wave. You ready for this?
Okay.
Wolverine, Gene, Mr. Fantastic to finish my FF, Venom, and Falcon.
Wow, those are the Marvel Legends.
Yeah, the 3 3/4, the retro collection. So that's supposed to show up at, like I said, one of my locals, and he's putting it aside for me. So I'm really hoping that comes in soon because I can't wait. I've said for a little over a year that like the 3 that I need, or maybe 3 or 4 figures I need to have in that line for me to feel like it now is, if it dies, I'm okay.
Yes.
I needed Thing, Thor, Doctor Doom, and Wolverine. Like those are the 4 I need.
And you got them all, right?
There's no Doctor Doom yet.
I thought there was. Oh, okay. That's got to be coming.
100% it's got to be coming. David asks, what's the appeal of that line, if you don't mind me asking? Of course I don't mind you asking. And this, again, is an age kind of thing, I think, is that when it comes to figures, this is my starting point. 5 points of articulation, 3 3/4 in size, simplified features, not exactly on model. This is like these are the first comic books I get to make. First stories I tell are with these kinds of figures. And I often talk about how the person who plays with these as a kid, to make these come alive, you have to push through with your willpower to infuse each of these with enough imagination so that they move and that they speak and they go through all the actions and they pose. It's all in your mind. So because you put so much of yourself into making them come alive, they actually are more personal to you than one that is fully articulated that or does it itself. Because these are actually like Boba Fett is you when you play with it, because you're the only thing that can make this into the real Boba Fett. So I carry that warm, fuzzy sentiment with me, and when I see the 5 POA, 5 ports of articulation, 3 3/4 Marvel Legends, they bring me back to being 7 years old, and where my imagination makes them come alive and like does all the work. They just feel very personal and innocent and beautiful to me. So I love that era of Jim Shooter Marvel Comics. It's like my sweet spot with the brand. And I love the look of the figures. And I love that I have Marvel figures that can play with my Star Wars. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like I like the scale and the
You're
stuff.
all in on Disney. You're just all the properties.
Oh, all on Disney. So it's like, what if Kenner had the Marvel license in the 1980s? It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. And they're getting most of them like dead on, with a few weird exceptions like the FF. They're wearing the light blue and white, but they didn't really wear light blue and white. It was like a dark blue and white. So the light blue would go with the black. I know that sounds petty, but that means they need to fix them, and then I'll get them again. The superpowers are the Kenner, but I think those are 4-inch, are they not? And they're phenomenal too. I love the Kenner DC superpowers. I wish I could get the rest of them. I have about half of I have like all the ones that everybody has. If that makes sense. I don't have Dr. Fate. I don't have Orion or Plastic Man or Captain Marvel or Cyborg. But I have like the Justice League. I have the big
one.
set. You have one?
Yeah, Mr. Freeze. I have Mr. Freeze that was gifted to me, found at the local Salvation Army or Goodwill, still in its box from Woolco. Do you remember Woolco, the department store? So it's still the price tag on it from Woolco.
Yeah, the superpowers were super dope. I got them at the time with my cousin, and then when he grew up, he just said that he can have them all. So I have from our collection as kids, the Secret Wars, the superpowers. I have those, but neither of those collections are complete. I would love to complete them both, but I'm in the part where now it's going to take bank to finish them because I'm missing the rarer ones. But maybe one day, yeah. The Toy Biz Marvel stuff, they're coming back like big time with all the retro packaging from Hasbro. The nostalgia for those 90s Marvel is deep. I was at a Star Wars Collector Con over the weekend on Sunday in Mississauga, and I saw so many of those figures still in the package, looking great. And I kept thinking about all the people who are, 10, 15 years younger than me, who are just going to be like going through their nostalgia high the same way I am for the early 80s, late 70s stuff. I'm really excited for everybody that those things are still around. And they look really cool in their 90s way, which of course doesn't, like in the 90s. I don't want to tell you what I was doing, but I was a fully functioning teenager, so I wasn't buying action figures except for Batman animated series, which to me was transcendent. Yeah, I wish you were there too, Jason. You would have had a good time. Tons of really cool stuff. Awesome Star Wars stuff. I could just joke around. There you go. I picked up this guy. He was missing from my Jabba the Hutt. What do you call the thing he sat on? It's not a throne.
It's
there's a name, a dais.
Could be
Jabba's dais. Maybe we'll call it that. Anyway, I was missing this guy, so getting that one was pretty special. But Jason, you were at an event, and hopefully you did really, really well.
Yeah.
He didn't come with the hookah because I already have the hookah. I just needed to replace this one part. I have the rest of the setup from the original Kenner, from my original Kenner that I think I got when I was about 8. But I lost Salacious Crumb over time. And this could easily be just some sort of knockoff from a factory in Hong Kong or something. But well, actually, it says it's got the thing on the back that says 83 HK. I don't know if it's legit, but I can check in my amazing book that is over there. That will tell me if it's a knockoff or not. So we'll see. But I have the hookah. It's 1040. Next issue is what? 127?
127.
Unbelievable. I can't wait to see if they can wrap up, if they can defeat Proteus. How do you defeat Proteus?
Good question.
I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't think they can do it.
No, I don't think so either. I think the X-Men are going to be done by issue 127. Very exciting stuff. Chris, as always, good to see you.
You too.
Great to see everybody in the chat. Thanks for hanging with us, David and Jason. It's really good to have you guys around. And I know that Trevor, One Six Shooter, was here for a bit, and Kevin from Toying Around.
Mm-hmm.
I think they made a surplus of Salacious Crumb and the hookah as mail-in replacements. Oh, interesting. Well, that's probably what I got.
I want to say shout out to new subscriber Prime Studa First, by the way. Thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate
it. Please like and subscribe, share, and we really want to get up to 100 subscribers.
We're inching every week. It's like 1 or 2.
11 new subscribers in the last month, which is nice. Okay. But we can do better than that. We can push.
I will say, when we were at TCAF about 2 weeks ago, we would talk to people at the table, and often sometimes people were wearing X-verse shirts, and we say, hey, do you like X-Men? And they go, we do. I'm like, we go live every Tuesday on YouTube talking X-Men. So who knows? But
if you're looking to find our comics, you can find them at group7comics.ca. That's the number 7, where you can now find our newest issue, Peregrine's Londinium.
Our new one.
This is my personal copy.
Oh, tastes like the city of London.
This is my personal. Don't worry, I won't sell this one to anybody. Yeah, some fun adventures featuring our team of super spies, the Peregrines. Lots of First World War action adventure, spy, frontline, thriller. I don't even know how to describe this one.
Minotaurs.
Yeah, this one's
Roman London. Minotaurs.
You can find us on socials at Group of 7 Comics. So again, that's the number 7. Places like the Twitter, like the Instagram, and Facebook. Sure.
Even on the Talk Tick.
Even on the Talk Tick, definitely. David says, I think if people knew how hard you guys missed your calling as voice actors, they'd be here in droves just to hear the radio play version of the books. That is very possible, Chris. You absolutely shine in this setting. And I'm so happy that we get to do this.
Well, it's very kind of you to say, David. Thank you.
And good night to you, ex-friends. Kind words from everyone. Everyone have a wonderful night. Stay safe. And we'll see you next week with another episode of Previously in X-Men.